What's going on, everybody? This is Zach Dresch, and you are watching the Dresch Code, home of all things music from a Dresch perspective. And today we're going to be continuing our discussion with Casey Kustak about the Foo Fighters, a legendary band that's been around for about 30 years now. We're going to be talking about their top 10 hits this time around. They've got so many giant hits, and we had to narrow them down, and it was not a easy thing to do, but we had a lot of fun in this discussion, so take a look.
What's going on, everybody? You are watching the Dresch Code, home of all things music from a Dresch perspective. My name is Zach Dresch, and today is a special day. It's a special day. Casey Kustak is here. He's my first guest on the Dresch Code. Casey, how are you?
No way. First off, I'm the first guest.
Yeah.
That's impossible.
No, it's entirely possible.
How did I force my way into being the first guest?
Well, this makes sense because today is a big episode. It's the Foo Fighters album ranking episode. And we both are diehard fans. You more so than I am. I mean, they're in my top 10, but you've seen them by this fall. You'll have seen them 15 times.
If we're counting the live streams as well, so the one after the Super Bowl and then the one in the middle of the pandemic.
Okay.
By the end of 2022, I'll have seen them 16 times live.
Okay. Gotcha.
So,
If I count the stream during the pandemic as well, I'm 4. So that's a little farther off. I'm a fourth of the way there.
So they're called Deadheads for the Grateful Dead. What are they for Foo Fighters? Am I a Foo Fighter? Am I in the band?
I think so.
I'm
the FUBUs.
No, that's for us, by us, Dresch.
Oh, okay.
We're both really, really white. We don't
That's true. That's true.
I'm like, hey, I used to wear FUBU clothing back in the day.
Oh yeah. Who didn't? I think I might have. I just don't remember. I was under the influence of something. I don't know what. Candy. But let's go with candy. Let's go with that. So how we're going to do it is worst to best. So I'm going to go with you're going to go with your 10th best choice. I'm going to go with my 10th best, and then back and forth, 9, 9, 8, 8. I like to have my guests go first, if that makes sense.
Well, so you told me about this, and we decided that we were going to do the albums,
yes,
hits, and then underappreciated and gems. And
yeah,
you're saying worst to best. I'm going to tell you, I don't think I have a worst.
Oh yeah, I agree. They don't have a worst. They just have a least best, in my opinion.
It was so hard going through all of this because I'm just like, oh my gosh, every song is worth a listen or multiple.
Yeah.
For these guys. And
this
band means a lot to me.
At their worst, they're better than most bands, I would
Absolutely.
say. So yeah,
I mean, there's a reason that they're going on 26 years. They a first-time inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yep.
All of that. There's a reason why they're such prominent. In 2022, 26 years later.
Exactly.
So, try to think of other bands that came out in 1995 that aren't here.
I think Pearl Jam and Red Hot Chili Peppers are the last ones that I can think of.
Yeah,
because a lot of them are done now. Or Green Day's still around, but a lot of them are not.
Yeah, but so let me ask you this before we get into our rankings and this piece, because do you consider the Foo Fighters alternative rock or rock? I don't think they're metal by any means.
No.
I think they have a couple of songs that you could put in the metal category, but
right.
Where would you put the Foo Fighters in that particular pop rock? I don't think that by any means.
No, I'd say rock straight up. They have moments of alternative, but it's more straight up rock.
Okay. All right, good. I'm glad we're on the same page with this. So.
Yeah. I think the closest they get to alternative is their latest album, honestly, with like the David Bowie influence kind of stuff. I think
very 80s dance, and leading up to Medicine at Midnight. I'm not going to tell you that that's where that is on the list just yet, but leading up to Medicine at Midnight, you heard that Dave and company were going to put together a dance record, that they wanted to do a dance record, and you can really feel that in there. There's something about just kind of grooving to Shame, Shame, or even Holding Poison and things like that in there. So yeah, I think this is going to be fun.
Me too.
I'm curious to see where our rankings are.
Because I will foreclosure for all the people that have not. They don't look at our chats. They don't, because that's illegal. You gave me yours. I glanced. I didn't want to get too into it because I want to be more surprised. I have not given you mine yet.
Right. Yeah.
Full disclosure.
So we get to have a little mini discussion on these too, why we put these there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
so
right.
It's not just like an album, go for it. We're going to discuss why we picked each choice too.
So do I get the choice to say where we start? Because I want to start with hits. I say let's get the hits out of the way.
Sure.
If you're game for that.
And let's do hits.
I sent you now. I think definitions of hits are different. So I had to go with the Billboard hits, and where they came in the ranking, and that's where I clarified the hits piece. So for your viewers, your listeners, that they can go, yep, okay, that makes sense, instead of me throwing out dirty water or whatever, and they're like, I've never heard that song. Fucking
right. Yeah.
That's a hit. I'm like, fuck yeah. No.
To the fans, it is. Yes.
So you said I go first?
Yeah. So do you want to do, so you do your number 10 hit, or, let's do, each of us do honorable mentions first. I have honorable mentions.
All right. How about you start with honorable mentions?
Okay. I think this is kind of a hit in recent terms. I've got Making a Fire off the new album. Okay. It's been played on the radio a lot, not just because it's a new Foo Fighters song. I think it's actually doing quite well, because I have friends that really dig the song that don't really follow Foo Fighters. So I'm kind of calling it a hit.
It is actually a fun jam. It's one of those, it takes a moment for you to go, this is the Foo Fighters?
Yeah. Right.
But I'll agree with you. I'll put that in there. It's not on my honorable mentions, but Making a Fire is kind of popping up in a bunch of places from video games on. I've seen it in a couple of recent releases over the last year. So
yeah. I've also got Waiting on a War as an honorable mention.
Okay, so two really good ones from Medicine.
They're not in my top 10, but they're like really good. So I got to give a shout out to them.
Okay, well, I did not pick those. I picked Low as
that's a good
one of my honorable mentions. That's just a fun jam. Fun jam. The video's great as well. Dave and Jack Black in a motel.
Yeah.
Cross-dressing and doing all that stuff. That's fun. And then my other one is Breakout.
That's a great choice.
The single for Me, Myself, and Irene.
Yep, that's also in my honorable mentions too. Yep.
Okay, cool. All right. So those are my two honorable mentions. I picked two honorable mentions for each.
I picked. I have 4 more. No, 5 more. just to say I'm. Yeah, I've got DOA was a number 1 single, and it's very underlooked, very overlooked. And I've got Run from Concrete and Gold.
Yeah,
because that was a hit, and then Wheels was an underrated hit too. I think
Wheels was the bonus track off of the Greatest Hits album. Yep.
And then I've got Big Me. I wanted to squeeze it on the top 10, but I couldn't. It wasn't quite there. Okay. And I've got Rope from Wasting Light. That's up there too.
Yeah, that's the thing, that this was just so hard to pick these songs, because these are like legitimate hits.
Most of these are number 1. Most of these are number 1 on the charts.
I was looking at the Billboard, and they had 4 number 1s, but they had 18 in the top 10.
Yeah.
And then they've had 22 total hits in the Billboard Top 200. So, over the course of 26 years, we said, okay, that's not bad. I mean, they are who we thought they were. They're a legitimate rock band.
Yeah.
Man, I hope Dave sees this and goes, he said legitimate rock band. All right. So with that being said,
Yeah, let's dig into it.
Yeah, my number 10 is These Days.
That's on my list.
Yes, number 10 is These Days from Wasting Light. And that song has just some really powerful lyrics, thinking about time and growing older and, thinking, what is it going to be like later? It's a heavy and beautiful song that cultivates in this huge crescendo near the end.
Yeah, that's why I love it. It's on my list coming up. I'll talk about it more when it gets to my spot. Yeah. Number 10, I've got My Hero.
Okay. All right, that's on my list too. I'll tell you where mine is.
I love the drums. I love both the stripped back version and the full blown rock version. I love them both. I know these days, haha, pun. Dave typically does the strip back leading up to the big ending crescendo, which I think works better for an arena show for sure.
Absolutely. And at the same time, the Foo Fighters are a drum band.
Yeah.
They're absolutely a drum band. Those drums were meant for huge arenas. I mean, I swear you could probably hear them for miles.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, but that's just the power of Dave Grohl and even Taylor Hawkins. I mean, I would, obviously Dave is one of the greatest drummers of all time, but Taylor as well. I mean, he's got to be up there too. I don't think he gets enough credit for just how amazing he is at those, and having to put up with Dave every single day or every time they record an album.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that Taylor's okay with being the second greatest drummer in this band. Because he's like, as long as I'm second fiddle to Dave, that's all I care about. And usually when they're interviewed, it's Dave and Taylor, or just Dave. So it's like,
Yeah.
So
you can tell they're really good best friends.
What's your number 9?
My number 9 is Monkey Wrench.
Oh, that's mine too.
Is it? Okay, great. All right, wonderful. So let's talk about that. The Monkey Wrench is one of their first of 3 singles off of The Color and Shape. And that's just a fun jump around dance move, headbang the entire time. And then it stops. And then it drops again.
Yep.
And then it stops. And then you got that Dave growl right at the end, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I will always love this song. This is where I'd say it's a blending of alternative with pop rock.
Okay, yeah.
And then Dave screaming just gives it the rock feel. Like he just shatters the poppiness and goes, you know what? We're going to have hook-laden rock songs for the rest of our career.
But this is such a fun song live too. Like the radio doesn't do this song justice. This is legitimately one of the best arena rock songs you could put out there. And then they prolong it just a little bit with that right at the end there. So
the version with Kiss Guy is amazing too.
Let's give Kiss Guy his credit. I think we've all watched those videos and went, well, I too could have a chance. I should probably learn how to play guitar instead of being a comedian.
I want to bring a big sign at the Sioux Falls show this fall and do, can I play drums or something like that? That would be super fun.
So, so the last time I went and saw the Foo Fighters in the cities for their Concrete and Gold tour, I held up a sign that says, David, can I tell everyone a joke? If you would let me come up and take 3 minutes or something and just be like, and then the reviews are like, and then he brought up a comedian to tell a joke.
That's perfect.
I think Dave would be down for that. But I think I should mention too, I have a lot of connections actually with the Foo Fighters. My stepdad Jigs Lee, he's I would say he's a rather famous Minnesota musician. People in Minnesota know him, and from the days of Kane and Fragile, go and check him out. You know what? he's my stepdad, and as much shit as I probably gave him as a kid going fucking rock band, he's just a dad. he's legitimately good. He is incredibly talented. Well, his manager back in the day for Kane and both Fragile was John Cutcliffe, who actually happens to manage the Foo Fighters now.
Oh, no kidding. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's really, really fun to be like, I have connections, and I would be lying if I didn't say that I have tried to hit him up several times to get me.
Yeah.
Can I meet Dave, please? He did get us backstage passes once, and I did get to high five the greatest musician of all time in my.
Oh, that's awesome.
I high fived Dave Grohl, and I accidentally punched Nate Mendel in the chest. I thought my best friend was behind me at the time, and Dave was out there singing "See You" to the crowd at the XL Energy Center, just acoustically, right? And I went, "This is fucking awesome!" And I hit, and I went, "Oh shit! Oh my god, you're amazing!" And the thing is that Nate was watching, and he was like, "Yeah, this is pretty fucking cool." And so, all right. Sorry to sideline us.
That's the beauty of these episodes, is diatribes about stories that mean a lot to you. That's what I like on these shows, man. That's what I like.
Well, just wait until we get to number 2.
All right. Okay.
And maybe number 1 as well.
Right.
And I think I have a feeling that we're both going to vote for what the number 1 is.
I think so too. Yeah.
But number 8 for me is Times Like These. And
okay.
I wanted to put it higher on the list, but I just felt that there were these other songs that just resonated a lot more. However, that being said, let's just talk about this new version of Times Like These that that they did for Saturday Night Live after it was announced that Joe Biden, regardless of if you voted for him or not, right? After Biden won the presidency, and the Foo Fighters were on with Dave Chappelle, and they came out and they sang Times Like These for their second song of the night. And it just started off with this low hum, and all of a sudden built to this right? And then you're like, holy shit, this is a full-fledged rock song. It was the most amazing thing. And then they've been opening their recent tour with that song, and there's something about that song that just absolutely brings a tear to my eye. And you're like, yeah, absolutely. It is times like these that we need to learn to love again. Right. And it's a beautiful song. Very, very well written.
I think this last couple of years, they've been really giving Rami Jaffe his due with a lot of stuff, like especially like the trailer for the movie that's coming out. He's really like he's the kind of the comedic gold a lot of the time in the movie. So
I can't tell if he's like baked out of his mind all the time or if that's just really Rami.
This place is haunted, man. Like, I don't know.
We're going to be making some really loud music. My brother is coming in town, and we're going to actually go and see that together because we're both big Foo Fighters fans. I got my brother into the Foo Fighters, and so we try to make a point of doing a lot of these things and gigs and shows together.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is The Pretender.
Ooh, okay. All right, mine's on the list.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. This is when this album came out, I didn't love it. It took a while for me to get into this album, but also because I still have like tendencies of ADD, but I don't quite have ADD. But this album goes all over the place, and there's a lot of acoustic stuff. I'm not a huge fan of like a lot of. I don't hate it, but when they kind of go acoustic around this period, it didn't quite do it for me.
This is where we're going to agree to disagree here.
Sure. Yeah.
I absolutely love that album. And, because the album that preceded it, right? Is that it?
In Your Honor. Yeah, it was right before
In Your Honor. That was that double album. And, they talk about in the Storyteller book that Dave wrote, and he just mentions it very, very briefly, but in other interviews and things like that, he was like, I want to make these softer things, but I feel like I have this, requirement to make loud rock, anthems and things like that. And I believe his producer and manager, so Cutcliffe, was like, make them both. Just make it both. And there we got In Your Honor. And we could start talking about the album itself, but I mean,
say it.
I think Echoes was the perfect blend that said, hey, this can work. This can work for this band. So, but we'll talk about that when we get to our album rankings, I'm sure. So,
I think The Pretender is a perfect rock anthem, especially that was the single that really even kickstarted them even more than they already were at in their
absolutely.
Yeah.
I would agree with you there. I think The Pretender is one that just, they were here and now they're here because of that. It is one of their number ones. I am going to say for number 7 is Learn to Fly.
Oh, that's higher up on my list.
It's a fun one. I think it's not the greatest. It's fun. I think it's a little too mellow, but I still love the song. Don't get me wrong. I still absolutely love it. I think it's more fun live than it is on the radio. And I'm going to probably say that for several of these songs, but Learn to Fly is number 7 for me.
I still hear Learn to Fly at bars all the time. Like I heard it at a bar this week. Like it's just like, I go to bars every day.
Learn to Fly is the perfect elevator music song.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So.
Yeah. I am not going to disagree with you on that. It's higher up on my list personally, but I'll get into my feelings on that later. Number 7, I've got These Days. So
okay. All right.
Love the shit out of this song. The dynamics and the whole lyrics being about existentialism and telling people that treat you wrong, like easy for you to say, bitch. Like
and eventually we're going to get our time. Our time is up. I mean, we think about like I said, with number 10 is that it's about thinking ahead too. Like, it doesn't, one of these days, your heart will stop and pain won't mean a thing. And you're like, we're all going to die. And now I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight. Thank you, Mr. Josh.
This song had the most color and the shape vibes to it when I first heard Wasting Light. This song had the most color and the shape vibes, in my opinion.
Okay.
That's why I love it so much.
I hear it. Number 6, you already said it, is My Hero.
There you go.
And the reason it's right there is that I felt that there were other songs that were ahead of it, but My Hero definitely means a lot to me. I remember the video where all you saw was the back of the guy as he ran through the house that was on fire, right? And they were pulling people out and pulling things. It was at that time there was just some bitter fighting in my family. I was moving back and forth between my mom and my dad all the time, and it was a really, really shitty time. It was the Foo Fighters music that has gotten me through a lot of hardships in my life. Just because I feel like I can relate to a lot of these lyrics, and My Hero is one of them. And is it talking about one of my parents? I don't think it is. I think it's talking about, to me at least, right? I'm like, Dave wrote a song about my parents. To me, My Hero is me. Like being able to, watch me as I go. Like these are the things that I'm going to do. And this is just a hiccup in the road. And so that song, it's hard not to let the tears flow when they play that song live.
Yeah, I interpret that song as being about either you being your own hero, or it's not a Superman or a Spider-Man like figure. It's going to be someone that's right next door that you look up to, kind of thing. That's how I interpret that song.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it.
So yeah. My number 6 is an interesting one. I don't think you had this one on your list. I've got The Sky is a Neighborhood.
Yeah, okay. I didn't really think of that as a hit. And that was the trouble for me, is that I was looking at some of these and I went, you know what? I think a lot of them fall into some of that underappreciated gems piece that we'll talk about here in a second.
Sure. Yeah, for me, I like, it's different, but it still has a Foo Fighters vibe, but it's still different enough.
if we're talking anything on the Concrete and Gold album, that is a legitimate, this feels like Foo Fighters. That and Run are the two songs feel like Foo Fighters.
Yeah. And the fact that I think on the set list, they're still playing those songs. That makes me happy because those two are the best ones on that album, in my opinion.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah, Dave Grohl knows how to choose a damn single. That's for damn sure. Yeah. He knows which one, like, oh, that's the radio song. Like, don't question it. Just do it. Like,
I'll give that one to you. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Now I'm listening to you and I'm like, fuck, did I pick these incorrectly?
I don't know.
I want people to like me.
Dude, story of my life.
I think this is the part of the list that really starts to get, everything starts to make a lot of sense. But number 5 is All My Life.
Ooh, okay. Higher up on mine.
I just is a fucking banger. I mean, that is a song that if it's on the radio or if it's live, you stop and we go, yep, we're turning this motherfucker up.
Yep.
It is the quintessential headbang song.
Yep.
It is quiet and fucking oh my God.
I am curious when I last saw the Foo Fighters in town in 2017, Dave goes, "You want to hear a barn burning rock song or a ballad?" I wonder what the ballad was going to be because he chose All My Life, obviously.
He did. He did. Sorry about that.
You're good.
Mother-in-law on the podcast. Great. Susan, she stop calling me. I'm on a podcast. I think the ballad was going to be Walking After You.
Oh, that's a good point.
I do. And they played that for their live set on the Metaverse, the Facebook Quest VR thing. So I'm so fortunate that they didn't, you said you didn't have to have a Quest to watch it. So, I mean, I cloud streamed it to my TV and just was like, fuck yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
But that's what I think that ballad was for that. But during that Concrete and Gold tour, when they were playing All My Life, the set behind them would drop and it would be like 3 feet above them. And then you'd see the hair hitting it and you Taylor kind of like this in the back. So, yeah.
I am so excited for their set list this fall. I have no idea what to expect. If it's going to change it up or... So, I mean, they have like 15 singles they have to play. So it's like...
What's your number 5?
Times Like These, actually.
Okay.
It hit a lot more once the pandemic hit.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's higher up. It was probably, if it was not for their recreation of the song, it would probably be like number 9 or 10 on my list, I think. But the recreation just added so much to me.
It did. And not only that, at the very beginning of the pandemic, too, you had Chris Martin from Coldplay get a bunch of these UK artists to come in and sing that song and record it from their home. So you have this modge podge of different vocals and styles of the song. And it's really, really beautifully done. But then I guess he got Dave Grohl to actually sing backup for his own song.
Yeah.
So Dave is singing the vocals of Times Like These with, 20, 30 different musicians. And it is such a beautiful song. So, I mean, I could see why it's right there for you. And I could see why it would be somebody's number 1 as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a huge one for me. And that song is one of the best singles of not only them, but the last 20 plus years. So
absolutely. Well, I've got a confession to make.
Best to You is your number 4.
Best to You is number 4.
You son of a bitch.
That is just a fun song from top to bottom. And, I think everybody can interpret these songs a lot. And I think it's that inner battle between yourself.
Sure.
And you and I are both mental issues. We get into ourselves, and we allow ourselves to get the best of ourselves, right? And so however you interpret this, I mean, I do think it stems from here, and it does stem from here. But are we born to resist, or
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, it's a classic. It's not in my top 10, but I appreciate it. I think this is the one single that got overplayed for me personally.
I get it. Yeah.
So it's not the worst by any means. It's like in my top 20 to 30, I'd say, somewhere around there. Awesome. That's the one hit single that kind of just...
Well, I think it would be up. I think it would be a lot lower on the list if we were putting all these songs together.
True.
By all means. So yeah, I hear you. All right, what's your 4, buddy?
All My Life.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just a barn burner. You can't really say much more about it. It's just, it's a song they just have to play.
You're doing this after. Ugh, you're just rubbing the neck. You're like, fuck.
Yep.
I think this was lower on your list, but number 3 for me is The Pretender.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I feel the same way. I feel like it is a barn burner. I love how it goes quiet and gets really fucking loud, and then goes quiet and then really loud. But that's another song that you just jump up and you just start fucking dancing to. I apologize. Yeah. This is going to be the most F-bomb laden episode you've ever had. That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite words.
Should I get the bleep button for this?
But it's a dancing song. It makes you feel really good. It makes that's a really fun song to do. And I'm sure there's deeper meaning in the lyrics. We can get into that, but I mean, for all intents and purposes, that at the end of the day, you hear it and you're like, yeah, we're going to have some fun.
Right. Yeah, for sure. My number 3 is Learn to Fly.
Okay.
Just a solid pop rock song. I just love it so much. So I know, like you said, it's a little mellower, but like Dave can like do it all. He can write a thrash death metal song, Proof in the Dream Widow song that just came out, or a pop rock anthem, anything. He can really put his mind to it. He can make it awesome. So that's why it's my number 3.
I got none of that Dream Widow song other than March of the Insanes.
Right. I have, we'll get into this later, but There's Nothing Left to Lose was one of the first albums I bought with my own money. So,
Same.
Yeah. So yeah, that album has very close ties to me, but we'll get into that later. But Learn to Fly, highlight for me, for sure.
Awesome. I love it, man. We could talk Foo Fighters all day.
Oh
yeah. But we got places to be. This is where it gets a little fun and a lot more meaningful. These next 2 songs could literally flip flop, and that's how close they are. But
I'm pretty sure we have the same ones.
Okay. At the end of the day, I had to just go with my gut. I slept on this. I was like, oh fuck. I listened to them both multiple times to just really feel it. Number 2 is Walk.
Same.
Okay, great. Yeah, we got I'm guessing we got the number 1 and number 2 is correct. Yeah. Or accurate with each other. But number 2 is Walk, and that I'm on my knees. I'm praying for a sign piece where he's just yelling. There's something so raw about it. I never want to die. I never want to die. I feel that. And that is my song that I use to pump me up before I go on stage. That is a song that when my wife and I were going through shit, that was a song that really just kept me going. And I'm not gonna lie to you, when I hear it, I tear up. I go through every bit of emotion, and it is one of the most beautiful songs ever written, because you absolutely feel everything in that song. So it could easily be number 1 for me as well, man.
Yeah. This one is usually when I'm putting together a playlist for a show, like before a comedy show or whatever. I usually always, when I think of a Foo Fighters song, Walk is usually my first choice, because like you've always got your Monkey Wrenches, your Everlong, and everything like that. But Walk is kind of that. It's a hit, but it's underrated at the same time. So it's like it's both. And the band realized it's a hit to them, so they still play it at every show, and I love that.
Yeah. Should we say this one together? I think we know what this one is.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Everlong. Yeah. What I was like, Cold Day in the Sun. You what?
That might be somewhere on my list. But Everlong, I mean, how could you not put this number one?
Right.
It wasn't even number one on the Billboard charts. Like it peaked at number 2.
Yeah.
But Everlong,
in retrospect, now it's viewed as like the 500 greatest songs of all time now.
Absolutely. You know, you hear the story of it where it's Dave on the phone talking to, you know, his ex-girlfriend at the time, reading this letter to her. That's that little bit in the middle of the song where you just hear those vocals and you're like, I can't pick some things out. Like he's confirmed it's a love letter. It's a love song. And this just goes to show you that the Foo Fighters can write fucking love songs. And there's a couple of them on here that are amazing love songs. But Everlong absolutely takes the cake from that. Like right when you're starting, right? You get those little, you hear it, you get fucking goosebumps. But not only that, that's actually the second song that Abby and I danced to at our wedding.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like that holds a place near and dear to my heart. And, you know, it was really fun to bring her to our first Foo Fighters concert. And when they played that song to open it, I grabbed her and I made sure we fucking danced during it.
Yeah, that is my girlfriend Becca's favorite Foo Fighters song too. So, I mean,
So why did you put it number 1 then?
It's always been like, I think their perfect closer. It should always be their closer or opener. And they've done that both times I've seen them. They open with it the second time I saw them in Sioux Falls, and they closed with it the first time I saw them in Council Bluffs, Iowa. So, I mean, like, and the first time I saw them, they open with Bridge Burning. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. Like this. Oh yeah. That's a great opener and Everlong closing. Mwah, chef's kiss, you know, like that's just perfect.
Yeah,
so
Bridge Burning is a fun song. That's another barn burner. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think it's perfect.
Thanks everybody for watching this video. What are your favorite top 10 Foo Fighters hit songs? Did you have the same one as us or something different? Let me know in the comments as always, and be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications, and we'll see you on the next video here on The Dresh Code.